so the base can give the legs upwards, so the flyer can already put pressure on top of the feet. Then the flyer gives the feet as high as possible so that the base can really position the arms, the hands as they think fit. Then I can jump slightly, but also use my hands to really get up onto the arms. The base straightens the arms. I can go into the knees slightly and stand up straight, locking my hip, locking my knees and my wrists. To get down, I get the feet again, put pressure on the feet, and just before the floor, we can release, or I can stand lightly on the hands.
Of course, you can do the same thing, but low. So we just go here. And it's a little less scary for the flyer, but actually it's even a little harder to balance for the base. The very most important thing in foot to hand is the grip. So we want to take a moment to talk about it. Imagine a triangle that runs from here to here to here on your hand, and a triangle that goes from here, where the heel ends, to roughly here and here, and place those two triangles on top of each other. That means I really want to use the whole surface of my hand to cover as much surface of the foot as I can. If I go too much on the heel, my flyer will have less support and it will be more scary for them. So you have to find a way to make it comfortable for both of you.
For a flyer, it's best if I feel a lot of support here from the knuckles pushing into this hole you know you have on your foot here.
As a base, I would like to place either one or even two fingers on the heel to provide some support. It is possible to do foot to hand in a C grip like this. It's better for my wrist even to do it like this, but you will need a very experienced flyer to feel comfortable without any support on the heels. So if you can, as a base, really provide some support here. Another really important thing you should think about is keeping your hand relaxed. So I want to be strong in my wrist, I want to be strong in my hand, but I do not want to squeeze. If I squeeze, I lose a lot of surface. Same goes for the flyer. If they really tense up their feet, they will get like in a shape like this, and you will lose a lot of contact here. You really want to keep them flat and relaxed. Same for my hand, to cover as much as you can between those two body parts.
As a pre-exercise for flyers, you can just try standing upright, focusing some point somewhere in the distance on a wall or somewhere, and get up on a slight toe stand, engage all your core, and really always feel like you're tilting slightly forwards like this. This is about how you want to stand on top of the base then in the end.
When we base this, I would really like you to think about keeping your elbow very close to your body if you base this in low. We step in, we place the other elbow, and we try to really have our arms leaning against our body. That makes it much more stable. There's also a trick to make it even more stable. It's going up here, so I can really push against my body, and this really locks my arms and gives the flyer a very nice feeling of stability.
I'm always pulling my feet together a little so that not to squeeze the base outwards, always a bit inwards, and this keeps everything sturdy and together as well.
You will often have the problem that the flyer has a hard time locking their ankles. So this is really something you should both think about. You really want to keep this angle. As soon as you go here too much, it will be a lot on your wrists, and also it will be much harder to balance. But in order to do that, it's very important for the base to always give a lot of support through their fingers. If the flyers don't feel any support here, it's very hard for them to lock their ankles. And you will get all those movements, and it will be much more scary.
As a flyer, I lift up my feet very, very high. And here you can already talk about the contact. If we're too stiff or we're getting somewhere, we can also release try and open up the hands again, and then come back to finding our best grip. Don't be too frightened to tread onto the hands. If you have a yoga mat or something soft, then it won't be a problem at all, but talk to each other about it. Then I really put pressure onto the feet, lift up, and really try and get my whole body, my bum up first. Then the base really locks in the hands into stable position. I bend the knees so that I can always have the weight going directly to the floor and stand up exactly in this line. Some people have a hard time doing that. So if you're too wobbly and can't control your feet while bending, then you can keep them straight, but be careful to still keep your weight exactly in line with the floor and not push the base's hands in any direction. Also here, I will always keep my feet tight together, not exactly on point together, but hip tight.
You can think of a line from the base's shoulders to the flyer's hips. So this would be not in line, but this would also be not in line. Now this would be in line, so this is where you want to go.
And we're trying to keep the angle of the foot and of the wrist throughout the whole trick. To get down, I reach down to the feet again and come down slowly with my weight on the feet.
For bases, there's one trick to make your arms much more stable in this position. So one thing you want to think about, of course, you want to straighten them. You want to keep your shoulder blades on the floor. You don't want to push up like this. But then what you can also do is lock your arms like this. So you think of rotating this way and really engage those muscles here. That will make the position much more stronger than if you base it like this. So straighten, lower your shoulder blade and lock here. And like this, you have a stable foot to hand to hand, whatever you base here.
As a spotter, I always want to stand close to the flyer, always being prepared to catch it independently on which side he or she is leaning. Another way of spotting would be to be behind the flyer. You can even support the upwards movement if you are in this position, and always make sure that your hands are close to the hips. You can also help stabilize if something should happen, and you can make the flyer feel really secure here.
Important for the base, if something goes wrong, release the legs because the flyer has to get to the floor on their own accord.